Hello friends, I'm Lauren Ohayon from Restore Your Core, and today I want to talk to you about queefing, otherwise known as vaginal farts, and I've even heard some people refer to them as varts. And I would say for a lot of people, vaginal farts are embarrassing, right? It's very embarrassing when it happens. It can happen during an exercise class. It can happen when you do a handstand. It can happen when you do down dog, anytime your butt is in the air. And it can happen during sex or any sort of intercourse that you might be having. So it can just feel incredibly inconvenient and embarrassing. Let's talk about what's happening when you have a queef. What is commonly misunderstood about a queef is that air is just flowing up, right? That a weak pelvic floor causes air to get up there and then you fart it out. That's not totally true. Air can't just flow into your vagina. It can't, because of the pressure differentials between the air on the outside of your body and the air on the inside of your body. Like if you are not inhaling and you just don't breathe, air is not getting into your body for the exact same reason. You have to breathe it in. You have to inhale and the air comes in. The same thing is true for your pelvic floor. You have to inhale it into your body, so to speak. Right? And so how does that happen? How do we inhale it? Well, I'm going to show you. This might be the first time you see something like this, so, it might be a different weird thing. But when there's a pressure differential, your vagina, for lack of a better word, sucks air up. The way that we suck air up through the vagina is like this. We create an inhale, but we also create this pressure differential. We kind of flare the ribs out. Right? And so, but you might say, well, Lauren, when I'm doing a handstand or a headstand, or I'm not doing that. Well, you are actually, you're just not feeling that you're doing that, right? Because when you, and like an obvious place that it happens is movements like sex, right? So a lot of people have it when they, like even in the doggy position. So partner is behind, you're on your hands and knees, or down here, this position creates that pressure differential. You kind of create like your ribs, without realizing it, move into kind of this position. So, and then you combine that with breathing in and out, and your vagina sucks air up, becomes like a vacuum. So one thing you can start, and it happens like, again, if you're coming into an inversion, I see people in down dog all the time and their ribs are just kind of doing this, like they've created that, and then they lift the leg up and their ribs are again in this position. Their ribs are kind of pushed forward and pulled wide. And now they're breathing in that position. And especially if you're having sex, you're doing any sort of intercourse, you're doing a lot of kind of heavy breathing. You're going to be drawing air up through your vagina. So like one of the first tips I can tell you is it's really, if you care, is to learn to stop overarching and over thrusting your ribs, which, if you're having like sex, you don't really want to be thinking about that. So like part of my advice is like, just literally suck it up. No pun intended, right? Like if you're in the moment of pleasure, you can just say to your partner, okay, I'm gonna have like a vagina fart, but it's not like an intestinal fart. It's not gonna be smelly. It's just coming out of my vagina. It's the air that was created from our act of pleasure, or you can try to be vigilant about it and micromanage it and, keep your ribs contained and keep your back a little bit more rounded and not let this big arched situation happen. So it's the combination of kind of spreading your sitting bones and then spreading your ribs and breathing here, and then the next thing you know is you are sucking air up your vagina. Yoga, exercise, handstands, headstands, it's the same. You inadvertently have kind of changed the shape of your rib cage and then sucked air up your vagina. So what you can do about it is just try to micromanage the situation. You can train yourself not to be so kind of arched in those positions. You can also just not worry about it that much and just know that it's incredibly normal to happen. Again, you might be thinking, how does it happen in shoulder stand? Like a lot of people, when they're on their back and they lift their legs up, it's happening and they're saying, but I'm not arched in my back here, but you are. A lot of people lay on their back, and it's a micro difference in pressure and volume that creates the suction. It doesn't take that much. Like it's almost also hard to prevent it, because if your pelvis is moving and your ribs are moving, which is natural to life, it can be really hard to prevent it. Like I will say that a majority of females I know have queefed at some point in their life because of the positioning of your body and physics. Like you can't avoid the physics of it. So you can try to it's not that your pelvic floor is weak though. And yes, some people will say, but it never happened to me before I had children and gave vaginal childbirth. The bones in your pelvis change after you have a baby for a lot of people. The bones can get wider. And so again, it's not so much that your pelvic floor is more weak, it's that the shape of your pelvis has changed, and that can make you more prone to these pressure differentials, i.e. physics, in certain positions. So I would just remember, you could, again, try to contain the issue by maintaining a very contained relationship between your ribs and pelvis, not letting them do too much moving kind of away from each other. Like, again, keeping them quite contained. So if you're on your hands and knees, or if you're in a down dog, that would look like this in your rib cage rather than this in your rib cage, right? And if you want to lift your leg up, again, the same thing. If you lift your leg up and you start arching your back, and your pelvis is now in this spread open position, and your ribs are doing this relative to that, and you take an inhale in, you're going to be creating suctioning. Even if you don't inhale in, it can happen. Like this part of your body is not necessarily always responding to that breath, but it will. Like the breath, how we breathe changes it a lot. So, and you can't stop your breath, right? You can't actually try to like not breathe. I mean, you can, but at some point your body's just going to start breathing itself. So reining in those positions, right? So if you wanted to do like a leg up in the air, just thinking about how can I do it? I'll show it to you on this side, maybe more contained like this rather than less contained like that. You're going to queef a lot more the minute you start spreading open your pelvis, spreading open your ribs. It's going to create that vacuum through your vagina. Okay, so I hope that has helped you understand why you queef and what you can try to do about it. Being mindful of that relationship is a great idea anyway. It's great for your core. Like being mindful of that relationship is actually a great way to foster a little bit more strength and connection through your core and pelvic floor anyway. So it's kind of a win-win.